It's terrible that after 50 years it is behind closed doors. And I've no intention. Now I've started to stop now. I'm determined to put an end to this. Terrible.
A private exchange inside Windsor changed the balance of one of the monarchy's most sensitive relationships. Zara Tindall placed a historic royal pearl set into Catherine's hands, confirming that the jewels were now hers to protect. Yet the gift carried a second, far more explosive message. Camilla had already requested the same pearls as a temporary loan, and Zara had personally refused her. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. Catherine sat beside Zara in a private Windsor drawing room, believing the velvet case had been brought for temporary safekeeping. She did not reach for it. The Windsor pearl set, a multi-strand necklace, matching drop earrings, and an antique clasp preserved through Princess Anne's family line, remained a private inheritance. Zara alone could lend it, gift it, or keep it untouched. She opened the case and watched Catherine's expression change. "They are not being loaned to you. They belong with you." The princess stared at the pearls, stunned. The gift was permanent. Even more surprising, the queen consort had requested the complete set for an upcoming state reception. Zara had already rejected that request before placing the jewels into Catherine's care. Camilla received the news from an aide minutes later. She stopped halfway through removing her gloves and asked whether Anne had issued the refusal. When the aide explained that Zara had made the decision herself, the queen became silent. It was no longer just about borrowing jewelry. A symbol of royal trust had been placed beyond her reach and entrusted to the future queen instead. William entered as Catherine discovered a handwritten note beneath the necklace. Zara had written that royal jewelry should rest with someone who understood duty, not access. William quietly closed the case, warning Catherine that accepting the gift could create consequences, but refusing it could also offend Zara's loyalty. Catherine looked toward Zara, and she did not back down. Then Catherine noticed one final envelope. Inside was a copy of Camilla's original request, allowing her to see exactly what had been asked and why Zara's answer had been no. Before making her decision, Catherine realized she needed to understand why Zara had chosen her in the first place. The conflict was never truly about a necklace. Behind the pearls stood three women shaped by very different experiences. Zara fiercely protected family loyalty. Catherine carried the future of the crown through years of public pressure. Camilla continued building her place within the monarchy after years of scrutiny. The jewels had become a measure of trust, and only one woman had received it. Zara understood freedom differently from the royals around her. As Queen Elizabeth II's granddaughter, she carried royal blood but held no formal working role. That independence allowed her to protect family treasures without waiting for palace approval. Catherine, meanwhile, carried the expectations of a future queen, while Camilla supported King Charles as queen consort. Zara remembered why the decision became personal. After a memorial service, Catherine stayed beside her long after everyone else had left. She didn't speak about headlines or royal duties. She simply listened while Zara struggled with grief. Catherine offered comfort without expecting anything in return, and Zara never forgot that moment. Camilla experienced the situation very differently. Preparing for the state reception, she looked at the empty place reserved for the necklace and learned Catherine had never requested it. That made the disappointment even sharper. She had hoped the pearls would appear beside her during a major royal event, strengthening their connection with her role. Catherine read Camilla's request once more and noticed one detail that troubled her. The letter suggested that after the reception, the jewelry could remain under palace wardrobe custody. Zara believed that wording reached beyond a simple loan. To her, it looked like temporary access quietly becoming permanent control. Catherine returned the envelope and admitted she could not accept a gift that might humiliate another woman. Zara refused to take it back. She insisted the humiliation came from the request itself, not from refusing it. Giving in now, she warned, would reward the very pressure she had resisted. When Zara mentioned the palace advisor involved in the request, William's expression immediately changed. This no longer appeared to be one person's wish. It could reflect a broader effort to place privately owned royal jewels under palace management. The more William studied the letter, the clearer it became that Zara's decision had started weeks earlier. Weeks before the pearls reached Catherine, a private family dinner at Windsor revealed tensions beneath the surface. No public argument followed, but one conversation convinced Zara that the jewelry could no longer remain vulnerable. Zara arrived with Mike Tindall after a charitable equestrian event. Princess Anne appeared relaxed. Camilla chatted comfortably with Charles. William listened while Catherine spoke about returning to public duties, and Mike shared stories that made everyone laugh. For a short time, the family appeared completely united. Later, Charles and William stepped away to review official papers. Almost immediately, the atmosphere changed. Camilla turned to Zara and asked her to transfer the Windsor pearl set into the Queen's wardrobe office, saying it would receive more appropriate royal use. Zara calmly replied that the pearls had been entrusted to her family, not to a palace office, and their future would not be decided by convenience. Camilla answered that private sentiment should not stand in the way of the crown's needs. Anne quietly set down her glass, realizing her daughter's ownership was being treated as an obstacle. Zara repeated that the jewels were simply not available. Catherine gently suggested continuing the conversation another day, hoping to ease the growing tension. But Camilla replied that future queens should not interfere in decisions belonging to the present reign. Catherine fell silent. Zara's frustration only grew because Catherine had tried to calm the situation and instead received a sharp warning. Later, Zara found Catherine standing alone in a quiet corridor. Catherine apologized for becoming part of the disagreement, but Zara dismissed the idea immediately. "You were not the cause. You were the moment I finally saw it clearly." Anne and her daughter reviewed the family inventories and discovered something unexpected. The pearl set had already been listed in a preliminary palace wardrobe schedule, even though no permission had ever been granted. Princess Anne warned that an assumption could easily become possession if nobody challenged it. That same night, Zara moved the pearls and began arranging their permanent transfer. Camilla soon learned they were gone. She refused to handle the matter through aides or letters. Instead, she decided to confront Zara directly. Behind closed doors with no cameras or courtiers present, what began as a disagreement over jewelry quickly became a much deeper battle over authority, respect, and loyalty inside the House of Windsor. The meeting took place in a private sitting room at Clarence House. Camilla insisted the refusal could not be settled through correspondence, and Zara agreed to come alone without Anne or Mike. Catherine knew nothing about the meeting, ensuring no one could claim she had influenced Zara's decision. Camilla placed the rejected letter on the table and said refusing the Queen weakened royal unity. Zara calmly replied that unity could never come from treating private family property like palace inventory. She reminded Camilla that the pearls belonged to her family and had never been handed over to the crown. Camilla's patience began to wear thin. She argued that Zara had turned Catherine into a symbol by giving her the pearls instead of allowing the reigning queen to wear them. Zara immediately pushed back. Catherine had never requested the jewels, she said, and should not be blamed for receiving trust someone else had tried to claim. Camilla stood up. "You had no right to turn a jewel into a verdict." Without raising her voice, Zara slid the letter back across the table. "The verdict was already written in the way you asked." Then Zara revealed she had already seen the pearl set listed on a palace wardrobe schedule before permission had ever been given. Camilla denied ordering the listing herself, suggesting an advisor had acted too quickly. Still, she couldn't explain why the entry had never been removed. She offered one last compromise. Catherine could keep the earrings while the necklace would be loaned for the reception. Zara refused immediately. The set would remain together. Dividing it would only disguise control as generosity. As Zara opened the door, she found Charles standing outside. He had heard enough to realize this was no longer a disagreement over jewelry. The next decision belonged to him, and whatever he chose would reveal where royal authority truly stopped. Charles now faced an impossible choice. Supporting Camilla would defend his wife's position, but risk confirming fears that private family treasures could slowly fall under palace control. Supporting Zara would protect family inheritance while leaving Camilla feeling publicly diminished. Back in his study, Charles placed the wardrobe schedule beside Camilla's rejected request. Crown-owned jewels belonged to the institution, but privately inherited pieces remained the legal property of whoever inherited them. That distinction suddenly became impossible to ignore. He read the schedule again. Beside the pearl set appeared the words, "Anticipated for royal use," despite no approval ever being granted. Charles quietly removed his glasses and stared at the papers. His private secretary immediately understood the problem. Charles was being pulled in every direction, as king, husband, uncle, and father, and every role demanded something different. Camilla later entered the study and warned that allowing Zara's refusal to stand would weaken her position within the family. Charles answered carefully. Forcing Zara to surrender the pearls would create an even worse impression. It would suggest that authority depended on taking something another family member had never freely offered. The response protected royal boundaries, but it deeply disappointed Camilla. Later, Anne met privately with her brother. She refused to pressure Zara and reminded Charles that loyalty to the monarch did not require sacrificing personal family property. She also pointed out that Catherine had never asked for the pearls, so punishing Zara would only reward unnecessary pressure while placing blame on someone who had done nothing wrong. Soon afterward, Charles received a written explanation from the senior advisor responsible for the wardrobe entry. The document confirmed there had never been any formal order. Instead, the listing followed an informal discussion, meaning palace staff had begun treating an idea as though approval had already existed. Charles acted. He ordered the wardrobe entry removed and directed that no privately owned jewel could ever be scheduled or transported without written permission from its owner. The decision supported Zara's legal rights without publicly criticizing Camilla. Before leaving, Camilla quietly asked whether he believed Zara had been right. Charles looked at her before answering. "I believe she had the right to decide." Legally, the answer was clear. Emotionally, it felt very different. By the time Catherine learned how firmly Charles had ruled, the pearls no longer felt like a simple gift. They had become the center of a family dispute she had never intended to join. She realized every future photograph could invite comparisons between herself and Camilla, even though she had never asked for the jewels. While others debated authority and inheritance, Catherine worried that accepting the gift might unintentionally deepen old wounds. Her household soon received official confirmation that the pearl set belonged to her privately and required no approval from the palace wardrobe office. Instead of bringing relief, the letter only increased the pressure. A diplomatic reception was approaching, and wearing the pearls there could easily be viewed as a public response to Camilla. Catherine asked William whether she should simply return them. William reminded her that Zara's decision had been about protecting trust, not creating competition. Returning the pearls now would not erase what had happened. It would only suggest that pressure had achieved its goal. Still, Catherine couldn't ignore the emotional cost. Alone in her dressing room, she opened the velvet case and gently lifted one earring. After holding it for a few moments, she quietly placed it back. Beautiful things can become cruel when worn at the wrong moment. Her words revealed how conflicted she had become. Soon afterward, Zara sent another private note. She explained that returning the pearls would not restore peace. It would erase her right to choose and reward the pressure that had made the transfer necessary. Catherine read the message twice, realizing that refusing the gift could hurt Zara just as deeply as accepting it might hurt the queen. William soon noticed something unusual on the reception schedule. Camilla had withdrawn from part of the event, officially because of fatigue. But the future king suspected another reason. She may have wanted to avoid seeing Catherine wearing the very necklace she had been refused. Camilla later learned that Catherine still had not decided whether to wear the pearls. Relief briefly crossed her face before an aide added one final detail. The ownership transfer had already been permanently recorded. Whatever Catherine decided, the pearls no longer belonged anywhere else. Anne canceled an inventory meeting with the Queen's wardrobe staff, and conversations about royal jewelry suddenly became noticeably cautious. The damage had spread far beyond one necklace. Catherine realized that paperwork and palace procedures would never settle the issue. She requested a private meeting with Camilla, without Charles, William, Zara, or any advisors present. The pearls had passed from one woman to another through principle and legal ownership, but only an honest conversation could decide what they truly meant. For the first time since the dispute began, Catherine and Camilla faced each other alone. The pearl case rested unopened between them. Neither woman had wanted this rivalry, but both understood how easily royal history could turn family heirlooms into public symbols. Catherine chose a quiet room at Windsor that belonged to neither household. She brought the complete pearl set but left behind every letter and official document. Camilla arrived without her private secretary. There would be no intermediaries this time. Catherine spoke first. She explained that she had known nothing about the loan request when Zara offered her the pearls. Camilla listened before quietly admitting that being refused had hurt. What hurt even more, she confessed, was learning that Catherine had been chosen without ever asking. To Camilla, it represented a level of trust that titles and years beside the king could never guarantee. She admitted the pearls had come to symbolize acceptance within the family. Catherine answered gently that no heirloom could erase the past or create belonging where it did not already exist. Jewelry could never replace genuine trust. Catherine slid the unopened case across the table and offered not to wear the pearls at the upcoming reception. Camilla rested her hand on the case before pushing it back. "If you hide them because of me," she explained, "the hurt only grows." She then acknowledged something she had never admitted before. She had seen the wardrobe schedule listing the pearls early and failed to correct it because she believed Zara would eventually agree. Catherine accepted the honesty but did not excuse what had happened. She made her decision. She would keep Zara's gift but would not wear the pearls at the reception Camilla had originally planned to attend. Instead, she would first wear them during a family service honoring Queen Elizabeth II, allowing remembrance to come before rivalry. Camilla stood, touched the case one final time, and quietly said that Zara had chosen a careful guardian. The words did not erase the hurt, but they marked the beginning of understanding. Inside Windsor, the conflict had softened. Outside the palace gates, however, it was about to become front-page news. By the following morning, newspapers carried Catherine's photograph beside an image of the unopened pearl case. Headlines suggested Zara had chosen the future over the present. Television panels debated endlessly, and every gesture suddenly became evidence of supposed royal division. The ownership transfer had surfaced through insurance and documentation records connected to the jewels, making the story impossible to dismiss. Some believed Zara had simply given a personal family gift. Others claimed it represented a public rejection of Camilla. One newspaper summarized the controversy with 4 dramatic words: "The pearls choose their queen." That headline transformed a private family decision into a national debate before anyone inside the palace could explain the full story. Outside Buckingham Palace, small crowds gathered. Some praised Zara for protecting family tradition, while others argued private disagreements should never become public comparisons. The country quickly found itself divided. Catherine saw the newspaper over breakfast and quietly turned it face down. She hated seeing Zara's gift reduced to a contest over who deserved greater acceptance. What had begun as an act of trust now looked like a competition neither woman had wanted. Camilla watched a television commentator describe the situation as proof she remained outside Windsor's closest circle. Before the report ended, she switched off the television and sat in silence. For the first time, she realized the original request had exposed exactly the insecurity she had hoped the pearls would hide. The palace eventually released a brief statement confirming that the pearl set was a private family gift with no constitutional significance. While the announcement reassured official observers, it only fueled even greater public curiosity because it confirmed the transfer itself. Later, Zara attended a charity event where a reporter asked directly whether the gift had been intended as an insult. She paused before replying. "It was intended as trust. Nothing more should have been demanded from it." The headlines continued, but the family's final answer would not come through newspapers or television. It would come the day Catherine finally wore the pearls. That moment arrived during a family service honoring Queen Elizabeth's legacy. Catherine entered wearing the complete pearl set for the very first time. Zara stood nearby, while Camilla was already seated. For a brief moment, everyone looked for signs of resentment or triumph. Instead, they found something entirely different. Catherine had deliberately chosen a private commemorative service rather than a major public ceremony. The occasion honored Queen Elizabeth's life instead of celebrating royal status. The pearls were paired with understated clothing, allowing them to symbolize remembrance instead of victory. Before the service began, Catherine walked directly to Camilla. The Queen looked at the necklace before quietly saying, "They have been worn for the right reason." Catherine thanked her. Those few words could not erase everything that had happened, but they finally brought the dispute over the pearls to an end. She then crossed the room to Zara. No speech was needed. Zara gently touched Catherine's arm, knowing the gift had been accepted without ever becoming a trophy. Later, Camilla also spoke privately with Zara. She acknowledged that her original request had gone beyond the limits of a simple loan and admitted the wording had placed pressure where consent should have come first. Zara accepted the apology, but did not change her decision. Peace had been restored without undoing the boundary she believed needed to remain. Charles later introduced a new household policy requiring written permission before any privately owned family jewelry could be scheduled, transported, photographed, or prepared for official royal use. The rule ensured that personal inheritance would remain protected in the future. The pearl set stayed with Catherine, while Camilla made no further request. Catherine also made clear that one day she hoped to pass the pearls on under the same principle that Zara had followed, through trust freely given, never expected. In the end, Zara's gift had never declared Catherine more important than Camilla. Instead, it reminded everyone that loyalty cannot be demanded, affection cannot be claimed through status, and trust has to be freely earned. Catherine's restraint prevented deeper embarrassment. Camilla's acceptance allowed healing to begin. Zara's decision protected both the heirloom and the family's right to choose. The monarchy emerged wiser from the experience. The pearls crowned no winner. Instead, they became a lasting reminder that true belonging is never granted by rank alone. It is earned through trust, respected through choice, and carried with quiet grace. In the end, this story was never really about a pearl necklace. It became a powerful reminder that trust cannot be claimed through titles, borrowed through tradition, or secured by authority alone. Whether people agree with Zara's decision or sympathize with Camilla's disappointment, the events left a lasting mark on the royal family and sparked a conversation that reached far beyond palace walls. As always, only those involved know every detail of what truly happened behind closed doors, but one thing is certain: the transfer of the pearls became one of the most talked about royal stories in recent memory. What do you think? Did Zara make the right decision, or should the situation have been handled differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next royal update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.